Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We are continuing our reading of Friedrich Nietzsche's The Spoke Zarathustra book. It has been witty and entertaining, sassy and clever, and I do enjoy that. We were in the section titled On the Tarantulas, Giant Spiders. What could go wrong? Let's begin. Bismillah. Behold, this is the hole of the tarantula. Do you want to see the tarantula itself? Here hangs its web. Touch it, that it tremble. If you do that, then it alerts it and it thinks there's something to come. It's going to come out. Frodo! There it comes willingly. Welcome, tarantula. Your triangle and symbol sits black on your back. And I also know what sits in your soul. Revenge sits in your soul. Wherever you bite, black scabs grow. Your poison makes the soul whirl with revenge. Thus, I speak to you in a parable. You who make souls whirl, you preachers of equality. Preachers of equality, well, that's super relevant. To me, you are tarantulas and secretly vengeful. That's true. Liberals will try to ruin your life. Angry liberal feminists, you'll see like a Greek mythological hydra come to life. But I shall bring your secrets to light. Therefore I laugh in your faces with my laughter of the heights. Therefore I tear at your webs, that your rage may lure you out of your lie holes, and your revenge may leap out from behind your word, justice. For that man be delivered from revenge. That is for me the bridge to the highest hope, and a rainbow after long storms. The tarantulas, of course, would have it otherwise. What justice means to us is precisely that the world be filled with the storms of our revenge. Ooh, that's interesting. Ooh, the storms of various revenges, like how that would be if you were allowed to carry it out. Thus they speak to each other. We shall wreak vengeance and abuse on all those who equals we are not. Thus do the tarantula's heart vow, and will to equality shall henceforth be the name for virtue, and against all that has power we want to raise our clamor. Against all that has power sounds like the bourgeoisie, like the Antifa-tards, and how they want to go after some type of hierarchy. You preachers of equality, the tyrannomania of impotence, clamors thus out of you for equality. Your most secret ambitions to be tyrants thus shroud themselves in words of virtue. Oh my goodness, like he's speaking to modern liberals. Save the planet, don't eat beef. Eat the bugs. You're not allowed to have a gas-powered car. You need to have public transportation. The nanny state. Aggrieved conceit, repressed envy. Perhaps the conceit and envy of your fathers erupt from you as a flame and as the frenzy of revenge. What was silent in the Father speaks in the Son? Ooh, now that's bars. Look at that. What was silent in the Father speaks in the Son. And often I found the Son the unveiled secret of the Father. They are like enthusiasts, yet it is not the heart that fires them, but revenge. So not the heart being their engine, but it's revenge, this hunger, this thirst, this drive. That's their gasoline. And when they become elegant and cold, it is not the spirit but envy that makes them elegant and cold. Their jealousy leads them even on the paths of thinkers, and this the sign of their jealousy. They always go too far, till their weariness must in the end lie down to sleep in the snow. Out of every one of their complaints sounds revenge. In their praise there is always a sting. Ooh, in their praise there is always a sting. Backhanded comment, passive-aggressive snarkiness, and to be a judge seems bliss to them. Ooh. They really want to be in that position of authority. You know, kind of judge and declare. It's interesting, we were just talking about judges, and then we were talking about the fatwas of Imam al-Albani and how you need not stand when someone important comes in, and how some judges, because people have to stand when he enters the courtroom, kind of leads to ego. Very interesting. But thus I counsel you, my friends, mistrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful. Ooh, that's hard because it is very powerful. So quick to punish but not open to forgive, maybe? Reconciliation. They are people of a low sort and stock. The hangman and the bloodhound look out of their faces. Mistrust all who talk much of their justice. Their justice. Verily their souls lack more than honey, and when they call themselves the good and the just, do not forget that they would be Pharisees if only they had power. So those who methinks me doth protest too much. So if you're constantly talking about how good you are, how superior you are, you might have some skeletons in your closet. Hypocrisy, I think, is what he's really getting at here. My friends, I do not want to be mixed up and confused with others. Some preach my doctrine of life, and are, at the same time, preachers of equality and tarantulas. Although they are sitting in their holes, these poisonous spiders with their backs turned on life, they speak in favor of life, but only because they wish to hurt. They wish to hurt those who now have power, for among these the preaching of death is still most at home. If it were otherwise, the tarantulas would teach otherwise. That's funny. If it were otherwise, the tarantulas would teach otherwise. It's so witty, this guy. It's funny. They themselves were once the foremost slanderers of the world and burners of heretics. I do not wish to be mixed up and confused with these preachers of equality. For me, justice speaks thus: men are not equal. Okay, look at that. So for me, justice speaks thus: men are not equal. If men can tell each other we're not equal, why is it that feminists will be like, men and women are equal, then pushes women to do 50-50 relationships, which means the mother gives more. She has to work while pregnant, take care of the baby, and she's not really being the kept woman. And for us Muslims, we know in the Quran, in An-Nisa, I believe, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made one to exceed the other. So he has made men the caretakers of women. He has made men to be over us, to help us, to guide us, to sustain us. So we're not equal in that regard. Now, we are equal in our opportunity to do good deeds. We are going to be judged, right? And then our deeds will not be equal as a result, because some will have more, some will have less. But you have the equal opportunity to be judged. and to be punished, and to be rewarded. But men are not like women. Men cannot imitate women, and women cannot imitate men. We are different. Men are not equal. And if men are not equal, why are we so upset with hierarchy? Nor shall they become equal. I mean, Nietzsche is hitting home there. Raging Ivy League feminist was probably just raging. How dare you? We can't let Nietzsche be taught in schools. Here's a book about why it's good to be gay. This big gay book. Don't read Nietzsche, though. What would my love of the overman be if I spoke otherwise? Now notice here. So he loves the overman. How can the overman even be spoken of if you are pretending everyone is equal and that pure equality could be achieved? You have to hold people down in order to artificially push the mediocre ones to the top. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. The pilots now, they have been saying that they need more women pilots. Just because she's a woman. Instead of hiring just the best regardless of race and gender. I want to fly in a plane. On 1,000 bridges and paths they shall throng to the future, and evermore war and inequality shall divide them. Thus does my great love make me speak. In their hostilities they shall become inventors of images and ghosts, and with their images and ghosts they shall yet fight the highest fight against one another. Good and evil, and rich and poor, and high and low, and all the names of values. Arms they be in clattering, signs that life must overcome itself again and again. Life wants to build itself up into the heights with pillars and steps. It wants to look into the vast distances and out towards stirring beauties. I do like depth and vastness. I do enjoy that. It makes you feel more alive. Pillars hold things up. Steps are like, okay, the heights, you know? Going up, maintaining the pillars, seeing the distance, makes you see how small you are. Whenever I go to the ocean and you just see that line, the ocean, and you can't see stupid buildings, you're like, wow. Or you see a forest, trees. It's very beautiful. Up at the stars, whoa. You know, it's intense. Therefore, it requires height. Notice what he just said there, which is brilliant. Requires height. If you want to build yourself up, there's height. Hierarchy, height, distance can't be equal. Okay? The tree's gonna grow over, roots expand, but everyone gets the same amount of territory. Pumpkin patch in the garden is smaller than the cabbage patch. Something, right? Can't really give equal space, and not everything needs equal space. Family of 5 needs more space than the family of 3. People are born smarter and stupider. You cannot necessarily be equal. Equal in human dignity. To some degree, if you commit crimes and you've proven yourself unworthy, that value gets lowered. But the starting point, at least. And because it requires height, it requires steps, and contradiction among the steps of the climbers. Life wants to climb, and to overcome its self-climbing. And behold, my friends, here where the tarantula has its hole, the ruins of an ancient temple rise. Behold it with enlightened eyes. Verily the man who once held his thoughts to the sky, and these stones, he, like the wisest, knew the secret of all life, that struggle and inequity are present even in beauty. This is true. Some women will have a figure that one man sees and he's like, ah. What another man sees is like, no. So, some women will be blessed with other things that a man values, while they're not. And plastic surgery still cannot imitate it. There's inequality in that. There'll be women who can go on vacation every week if they wanted. Others who have access to fresh foods, who have horse riding as a hobby. We're all going to have something that someone else doesn't have. So, the envious liberals and woketardians will be like, privilege, privilege, privilege. So they want to take down privilege, cut off hierarchy, and stamp down everyone, and cut off a meritocracy. So what we're learning from him is that life has the struggle, wants to go up in heights. To go up, you see a different perspective, and that beauty, you're like, wow. When you get to the top of Mount Everest, you get to the top of some canyon, there's a difference there, and you have to climb up that and see it. It's a very allegorical type of metaphor. Work for something, get enlightened, struggle, and you will earn your place, and you will earn that hierarchical ranking. Right? The person who works really hard isn't the same as the sloth, who's just like, I don't care. Reverence for the sloth is not due. He didn't struggle. The sloth is not equal to the one who worked really hard. It's just not equal. Just not. Not everyone deserves the opportunity, and if they get it, what do you do with it? You can give everyone a mansion. Who is going to take care of that mansion? Someone usually who worked for it, cares for it. If it's just given, sometimes people will appreciate it, but do they have the knowledge to maintain it? If I give you a Bugatti, but you're like, okay, well, everyone in the world has to have a Bugatti now. Some will take better care of it than others. But the one who worked for it, earned it, there you go. They'll usually nerd out and know everything that the vehicle needs. Whereas if you give it to someone like me, what am I going to do with this? However, you give me a Clydesdale horse and I have the property, well, guess what? That creature's going to be taken care of. I care more about the horse than the Bugatti. I'm going to sell it for parts or get rid of it. It's not my thing. So, if you struggle for what you want, you've proven that you have excelled. If you've excelled, there's a gap. There's a height in something. In knowledge, in energy, drive, dedication. So when those who excel in finances, yes, there's a lot of traps. Fiat currency, high interest banking, inflation, you name it. But we can't deny that some work hard and they have this sort of ingenuity. And yes, some will have privilege to be born in certain places and a father or mother who helped them to learn the business, you name it. But you can be born in a wealthy family, not really have what it takes to maintain it, and everything crumbles. You are the chain that broke the mighty dynasty. You're an idiot. You lost your place. You didn't struggle. You didn't have to work to maintain it. Like Jackie Chan, he said he's not going to leave his money to his son. Jackie Chan had to work hard and really perform to get all that cash, just to hand all over to his son who's going to spend it on whores and drugs and party. Not the same. Not the same. However, there'll be a kid who has the drive, they just need the funds. There you go, give it to that kid. That kid will earn his way. He needs a leg up. Right? But if you're gonna put in communism, I don't agree with that. Because we're not all equal. And also, war for power and more power. That is what he teaches us here in the plainest parable. I love parables. how divinely vault and arches break through each other in a wrestling match, how they strive against each other with light and shade, the godlike strivers. With such assurance and beauty, let us be enemies too, my friends. Let us strive against one another like gods. So we as Muslims can compete for doing good deeds. I like that. Instead of cutthroat businessmen who step on those of others, or they're like the sharks of the industry, smell blood on the water, competing, thrashing, ruthlessness, dog eat dog. Sometimes I get that makes sense, but we need, as Muslims, to do good. And striving against evil and competing in good deeds, and whatever that may be, however it expresses is what I mean, is good. So, you can strive against evil, and if someone's excelling and you're like, I admire that, I want to do that too. Let's compete, Why not? It's a friendly competition. Breeding success. Breeding excellence. Alas then, the tarantula, my old enemy, bit me. With godlike assurance and beauty it bit my finger. Punishment there must be, and justice, it thinks. And here he shall not sing songs in honor of enmity in vain. Indeed, it has avenged itself, and alas, now it will make my soul to whirl with revenge. But to keep me from whirling, my friends, tie me tight to this column. Rather would I be a stylite even, than a whirl of revenge. Verily, Zarathustra is no cyclone or whirlwind, and if he is a dancer, he will never dance the tarantella. Thus spoke Zarathustra. Tarantulas are scary, but what I thought was cool about that is how they kind of go into their tunnel, and they're quick to come out, touching on their web. They're like, who does it? And they're coming ready to bite you, get some lunch, But they kind of go away a lot into their little space. And so if you're like that as a person, you kind of, you don't want to get along. You kind of withdraw and envy, like, must be nice. Why did that person get it? You start to get inside your own head too much. Because you got this enmity within you. You have so much swirling inside that your brain can just paralyze you with thinking and overthinking, making you this whirlwind. Someone comes to you who didn't hurt you, you lash out, right? They didn't deserve it. But like a whirlwind, like a cyclone, it tears up things that had nothing to do with where it originated from. It's very cool, this book. I like it. Hope you like it too. I always enjoy it. If you'd like to support the channel, consider joining my blog, www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Hope to see you there.